Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spoilers, obviously.
Spoilers, obviously.
I am your host, Joel, and with us,
I'm the guest.
Moses Moon.
Oh, good. Oh, for a second, I almost forgot who I was. Hey, Joel, what's up, man?
I'm good in the hood. What's up, man?
Good in the hood? Oh, boy. I'm all right. I'm excited for our conversation today. I'm looking forward to see where it goes.
Where it goes, yes. This
Mm.
is a interesting episode. So, for the audience, yes, you most likely read the title, unless if I put a misleading title, which
Oh,
we are going to talk about The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 3,
Twa.
or as the memes on the internet, The Last of Ass.
The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So yeah, so ever since this episode, so a lot of people have been memeing like the title as The Last of Ass. So
Yeah, I did not see that, but that makes a lot of sense.
I've seen a lot of those memes. So before we get to the episode, I just want to say on the Hebrew podcast, we have celebrated 1 year of podcasting.
Hey,
Yeah.
pew, pew, pew. We have a few months to go, right?
Yeah, for this podcast, we have a few months to go. I started this podcast like maybe 4 or 6 months after I started the Hebrew podcast, so we have some time to go. But yeah, no, we reached 1 year on the Hebrew podcast. Not only that, we reached like episode 98 or 99, so we are getting close to episode 100, which is also awesome.
Holy cow, that's insane, man! Congratulations.
Thanks. So yeah, that's about the Hebrew podcast. Back to the English podcast. So
Yes.
on this episode, so I don't know if I said anything on this episode on the podcast, the English podcast, but on the Hebrew podcast, I was talking with my brother Adam, and he watched the game on YouTube, and I got like, you know what, I need to know what happens. I wanted to be more informed, but I don't want to give myself any spoilers. So what do?
What do you do?
I first watched the episode, and then I go to YouTube to a gameplay, and I watch that gameplay up to however the episode ended. So for example, this episode ended with Joel and Ellie getting a call. So in the game, I got to the point where they got a call. So like that, I don't give myself any spoilers. So
fair enough.
And now I can actually do comparisons between the two, and I can kind of get like what other people, the people who have been playing the game, what they like, what they don't like, and on all the little problems. And yes, I've never played the game, and I have to say, even though I did not play the game, yes, it is fun to watch, but I am actually enjoying the show more. When it comes to the storyline, because yes, you look, oh, it's a game, so yeah, you're probably just watching them walk for a long time, and that's no fun. But no, not only that, it's I know I feel like the show really brought it to life. They did an amazing job to really bring the whole experience to life, this world.
The aesthetic is spot on. I would a lot of critics, both on both sides of the lobby, against and for, like all common ground. Excellent. Like it is very immersive.
Yeah, it is, and I did not like. I did say like the first episode, it's so amazing and so beautiful, but now like I can compare between the two, and I can like feel like, oh my god, this is way more amazing than I thought it was. It's absolutely great. They did an excellent job. So yeah. So yeah, let's jump into the actual episode. In the episode, we kind of have two stories going on, but within those two stories, there's one main story. Just like episode 1 and 2, where we started those two episodes with a flashback, in this episode we don't. we don't start with the flashback. And when I saw that we didn't start with a flashback, I was like, what the fuck? No, this cannot be. This is unacceptable. I shall
I
not have
will
it.
not have this. Yep, exactly.
I was like,
Hmm.
no, well, like you can't give me two amazing flashbacks and then not give it to me. Like, what the fuck is going on? But then, yeah, obviously later
The
they
whole episode is a flashback. Oh,
exactly, yeah.
mind fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, mind blown. So yeah. We start the episode with Ellie and Joel like by the river talking, like he's putting stacking stones like as to commemorate Tess. And then he walks to Ellie and she is wearing his jacket as a blanket. And
Yep.
last episode I did not notice it until you actually mentioned it. And I also, when I watching the game, that you can actually see it, they copied it as well. But last episode Joel looked at his watch as if to connect Ellie as like daughter, like put it in the same kind of level.
Yep.
From episode 1, he's completely cold to her. He doesn't give a fuck about her. She's cargo. She means nothing to him. But we see slowly the father-daughter bond. Even though she's not his daughter, there's like a bonding in that kind of level being built up.
Yeah.
And that's how we end that episode 2. In this episode, we start with her wearing his jacket as a blanket. So it's another thing, like he's getting close to her. He's starting to show affection towards her. And it's like, I liked it. So small details, even if it's once an episode, a small thing, it's, you show the character build up and development with each other. And it's great. It's a great thing how they do it. And
they're using their time, but yeah, they like how they don't force the acknowledgement. It's just there.
Yeah.
So it's subtle. It's good.
Yeah,
But it's again that show don't tell. It's not like I'm feeling like a father towards you. It's like, okay, we're getting the subtle hints. We're smart enough for a good audience to know. Okay, like there's something going on here.
It is. They did a great job, and I have to say the Joel from the show is actually, in my point of view, a better Joel from the game. Because yes, in the game
we'll get into that.
Okay. we'll get into that. So anyways, they're talking, they're walking, and they have the mission where it's to find a call, and Joel has his thoughts was the best place to get a call. It's to go to Bill. We have no idea who Bill is just yet. And before they
Bill
go,
and Frank.
Bill and Frank, yes. But before they go, like Ellie is like, listen, Joel, and he tells, I don't want to any sorries. I don't want to hear any apologies. And I liked what they did over here, because the conversation we actually get at the end of the episode was actually supposed to be this conversation. And over here, Ellie says like, yeah, I'm not here to apologize. I'm just going to say, it's like, it's not my fault. Like, you didn't have to take me, and it's like, yeah, you're all kind of right, but at the same time, he wanted something. So he kind of had to take you. But no, it's good to see that she is kind of standing up to herself in a way. Anyways, so they're walking in the road, and they are trying to, get more equipment. Joel says he hid, some, stash at some convenience store several years ago. They go over there. He's looking for it. In the meantime, obviously, Ellie is being Ellie, and she's, walking around the store.
She's just doing her thing, exploring.
Exactly. And she finds a little hatchet, and she goes, is it hatchet? Hatch. She finds a little hatch. She goes into the hatch, and there she finds like a gun. Throughout episode 1 and 2. Wait.
That you jumped way into the.
I did?
Yeah.
I thought, okay.
Because the whole episode is like them walking, and then it opens up with like Joel doesn't want Ellie to go down a certain path because there's some pretty horrific sights of instances of what happened to the past.
I'm pretty sure that's later. because then we
That's
have
like the beginning of the episode. And
really.
then what happens is it jumps, the flashback begins. We see the mother and the child from the bones. We flash back to them being loaded on the truck and driving away. And then we cut into the story of Bill.
Okay,
And,
so I remember it differently. I remember them first walking to the store, and after the store, they continue on walking, and then
right. That stuff is all in the beginning, but she doesn't find a gun until much later.
oh, okay,
That's
yeah,
the,
yeah,
she goes into the back of the store where it should be empty. She finds a hat, she opens it, she hops down, she finds a box of tampons, and then she sees an infected on the ground, buried or stuck, and so she kills it with a knife.
mm, yeah,
And then we continue. We see Joel putting the M16 or whatever that is, the AR platform, into the box, and he takes whatever he needs from there, closes it all back up, and they start heading on the road. And then they head on the road, and then they're having conversations, and then again, then we get to that point where they're on the road. She sees the horrible incident. Joel starts explaining a little bit more about the world, about how it all happened and what were the soldiers doing, why they panicked, and why their bones littered in this area. Particularly, it's a harsh memory for him, and she's like tasting the harshness of the world. And then we flash into the story of Bill and how Bill's a prepper, and he's a self-made man. Basically, locks down his entire neighborhood until a few years later into it, he meets Frank.
yeah. So before we actually really dive into the whole Bill and Frank story, I do want to talk about right before we jump into that story. So Ellie does ask Joel about how did this all happen, and he says what we have said in the last episode. Bread, yeast. He said like he said like we don't know for a fact, but those predictions or thoughts that from bread, yeast, and everyone ate it the exact same day, and it was in the hospitals, and it just shows that our theory was right.
It wasn't even a theory. Like, it was very much like people were speculating, but it was very much like out there. Even
Yeah.
the directors in various interviews were like, "We left breadcrumbs and things
Yeah.
like that." So it's like, as soon as this information had all clicked, it was like, okay, we get it.
Yeah. But no, then Ellie sees the bones laying down, and that gave a very Holocaust vibes for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, it
n-
was a very extreme situation.
yeah, not that I've obviously been in the Holocaust, like duh, but in Israel we do like talk about the Holocaust like every year. So
Yeah, absolutely.
so yeah, so seeing that, it's like, damn, like the world didn't know what the fuck to do in this situation. Like, it's so we kill everyone or we are going to be killed. How do we stop a virus, a fungus that cannot be killed? There's no cure to this. So
Well, dead people can't be infected.
exactly.
There you go.
And then Ellie's like, it's like, oh my God, they killed all these people that were not even infected. Like, how cruel was the world? And it just shows when shit goes to shove, do not trust the government because the government are Nazis.
Which is a line pulled right out of this episode.
Exactly. Yeah. So as Joel is explaining all of this, we have like not like a montage, but like we go into the past 2003. We actually go, if I remember right, to September 30th. Okay, so let's see. The scientist in episode 2 was September 24th. The outbreak happened on Joel's birthday, which was September 22nd at night. And Joel did tell us, the entire world did fall down with a matter of 3 to 4 days.
In a matter of 3 days, yeah.
Yeah, 3 to 4 days. So like, and within a weekend. So if I remember right, this is September 30th. We see
something along the lines of that.
We see Bill in his basement with his surveillance camera, throughout the town and all that. The army is searching the house. They can't find him, so they assume it's an empty house, and they all go. And the first thing that Bill does is the smartest thing to do, is to barricade the entire city, take gas, make sure he has electricity, he has hot water, and
Build traps.
yeah, and he builds traps. He is the perfect conspiracy theorist about the world end. Like, throughout history, you always have the one crazy guy. The world is gonna end, and he's like,
AKA, he's a prepper. That's what you call him. Preparation, dude.
exactly. So rather than going like around town, the world is getting end and trying to protect everyone, he's like, "Fuck you guys, I'm gonna protect myself," which is
Yeah.
a small thing to do. So
Mhm.
he basically barricaded the entire town, and every way possible, and he is now safe. Now, this is the difference, a little difference from the show to the game itself. In the game, yes, he did barricade his entire town. That is correct. The difference is he still had, zombies in his town, and he had to go every day out of his house to kill them because the town was so big he couldn't barricade the entire town.
Keeps you busy. Yeah.
Exactly. So in the game, Bill is actually a bit more rougher. He has experience, trying to survive every day, even though he barricaded his town. This Bill has not experienced any home for 20 years, you could say. Nothing. So he is like, come help me. I can take care of myself, but I'm alone and I'm sad. So it's two different, Bill personalities. In the game, he's a bit more of an asshole. Over here is like, he is tough. He is tough, but not like tough, like, I can survive outside my town. He'd be dead within a few days outside his town. So that's
I mean,
like,
both of them are like hunkered down. It's not like he chose to or wanted to like get out per se.
mhm.
Hey. Also, I think it wasn't really declared what his sexual orientation was in the game, and like no one really cared at that point either. I can't quite remember. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was another factor. This was another like, okay,
Yes, that is another factor. And since I recently saw this part of the game, so later on, Bill does mention Frank, and Joel's like, who's Frank? Oh, my partner. Now, there's no other conversation like, oh, your, partner in like a love kind of way, or your partner like, we live in this town together and we help each other out,
Mhm.
to kill the zombies. Because again, in the game, there are still zombies in the town, even though it's mostly barricaded. So it's like we help each other out. And later on, we actually see Frank, and again, this is in the game. Frank actually hung himself. He actually stole
Right.
equipment from Bill, and then later Joel finds a letter, and the letter says basically, Bill, this is Frank. I always hated you. I hated your guts, and I took all of your shit, and I couldn't stand the way you, were living and your mindset, and I just, ran away. And obviously, the reason he hung himself is because he was bitten. He did say, I would rather, be on my own than stay another day with your crazy ass. So that's the
Nope.
difference between
Very
the
much a different dynamic.
exactly. But then you do see Bill kind of crying, and he's like, "Oh, fuck you," and all that. You fucking prick and all. So there's a difference. There's a huge difference, but they decided to go on this route because he did say his partner, and he did give like a little sad face.
There's
They
some room to
manipulate.
wiggle.
Yeah,
Yeah. Story wise, it doesn't change anything really.
yeah, it doesn't. It could have been better in the end of the episode, but whatever. Anyways, so Bill is doing great for 4 years, living his life all alone. and out of nowhere, we see Frank caught in one of Bill's traps. Over here,
Mhm.
Bill, kind of helps him. He sees he has one of those machines to see if Frank is infected. He sees that he's not. So he then helps him and he feeds him and he takes care of him, kind of. And he tells him, like,
Mhm.
"Hey, get the fuck out, go. Like, I don't want you here." But then, like, Frank, like, "Oh, I have to play this piano." He
Mhm.
he plays the piano obviously horribly, and then Bill plays it. And over here, I was like, "No, please don't, please don't, please don't have your back towards Frank. He's going to kill you. Why wouldn't he? Now he has a city all on his own."
Mhm.
But the
Nope.
reason why Frank didn't kill him is he doesn't know how to manage the city. He doesn't know what to do or how many times this place has been raided or zombies or whatever. So having the city on his own is not a good thing.
I don't think
Sure.
that, like, to be for me when I watched this, when I like clued in with my gaydar flying off, I was like, okay, so instead of like being a scavenger or killing Bill for all his resources, because also it's not necessarily necessary to do that, but still, he's like, I don't know, instantly they caught they're both gay, and like maybe I can not seduce him, but like I don't know. It's so funny because it's within one day, and yes, in extreme circumstances, extreme things can happen, and the likelihood that they would ever meet is statistically crazy, and so it's uh, uh, something incredible, and so and they both feel that they're once this ballad or showing off of like maybe I'm in touch with this side or I'm still interested in human contact like that. I mean, look, Bill's character had been alone for a long time, but even so, I guess the reference is that he was a closeted gay. Um, there's like the highs and lows, both like it's an incredible story of love and how it magically came to be, and like compared to any other chick flick, yeah, I mean, like they are about basically the same level of writing on that. But and they start to the immediately within this one day of meeting and being so lonely and finding each other, they decide to sleep with each other after that. Now, do you want to say something about that, or do we want to get into this? Because the
Um,
internet lost its fucking mind about that.
yeah, so the internet did lost is fucking mind up about that. First of all, if I'm not mistaken, this episode got the highest rating out of the three so far. Like,
Hmm.
and has been called the best episode so far. It's like, I don't agree if it's the best episode. I did enjoy the episode, not because of the gay stuff. I did enjoy, I did enjoy the episode because again, it's a slow pace. I enjoyed it. You still building the world for me, but at the
Hmm.
end, I will give like, what do I overall think about the episode? Um, I thought maybe to mention this later, but you know what? Since you mentioned it over here, I'll mention it over here and at the end of the episode. So on the Hebrew podcast, I came up with a theory
Hmm.
about Frank being gay.
Okay.
Okay, so as we know, Bill has been living in his city for 4 years all alone.
Right.
Frank obviously has been living outside for 4 years. He tells us we've been walking from Boston all the way here, a group of people. I think someone did the math of the distance, and it's like 2 weeks walk or whatever. No,
Hmm.
2 weeks walks with the zombies and all that. So it's obviously a lot of people will die. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Frank was the only one
Sole
left.
survivor.
He was
Yeah.
sole survivor, and he did say, "I haven't eaten in 2 days." And now he basically found the Garden of Eden. He finds Eden, like, this city is safe haven.
Hmm.
So he realized his options. My options, oh, he tells me to go and I go. And obviously all of my people are dead, so I can't bring anyone. Oh, I have a little meal and then I go. Oh, I try to somehow stay here. hey, this guy is probably gay. I think I'm gay too, because this will
You
save
think
my ass.
Frank?
This will
I don't
save my
know.
look.
I don't know, man. Frank gave off gay vibes almost immediately.
If that is what will do to save his life, let's be honest. If you were in Frank's situation, 4 years, you've been with zombies and people, that whole situation, you haven't eaten in 2 days, and then you find, heaven. You literally find heaven in front of you.
Hmm.
And
I,
the only way into heaven is to sleep with a guy every day.
I don't think that's how they wrote it. That's not the
I
vibes I got.
I know that's not how they wrote it. This is like a joke theory I had on the
Oh,
other
fair enough.
podcast.
Fair enough.
But no, it's like honestly, if I was in Frank's situation, I'd probably be like,
You'd
I
probably be
guess
gay.
I probably am gay now. Like I'd rather stay alive for another 20 years of my life than, fight for my life every single day and maybe be dead tomorrow. So yeah, I'd probably be gay.
Fair enough, man. I won't hold that against you. That's pretty hilarious. Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
Uh,
what about
definitely,
you?
definitely was not. It's so weird because, like, again, I look at the consistency of writing. Now, a lot of people are really praising it because it's like, oh, for me, this is where the show has issues with its writing control because the main story is Ellie and Joel. So that either means that they don't have enough material to go about, either there's too short material for their journey or they're not invested enough so that we can segue into characters who just die. And so it's difficult because there's two aspects about it's a really difficult one because there's two aspects about it. One, this could be a nod, like an homage for the players, but it's really very different than the game. So so that means that, like, on our checklist, like, it doesn't matter. So they're really meaningless characters. Technically, they're not meaningful for the gameplay, for the gamers who are watching this series, because it's a completely different story. And to the entirety of the show, this is just a very quick filler arc, if you will, like an anime, just focusing on these two characters who we don't know. We understand them by, they solve the mystery of the radio, but then, like, that's it. We will have no more greater story from them. So they're basically almost useless. This is what I call the lampshade, or the lamp problem, where you can take two characters, replace them with a lamp, and doesn't change anything about the story. So then it's like, okay, we're taking an artistic beat. Now I'm like, okay, I can follow along the line. Some people say that this was the guy who played Bill's best performance and whatever. There's a lot of underlying themes about subverting certain potential ideals. Like, Bill's a very known for burly, manly characters who are very, like, very conservative and very, like, America and conspiracy theorists, and so it's almost right up there. But then all of a sudden he's gay. So I mean, maybe there's some, you could definitely break it down and find some definitely strong themes. And I even don't mind the fact that this is the story we got. However, I did feel like there were certain times they were just milking the shit out of it. Like, look how gay we can get. Again, if it serves the story, awesome. But when we're taking a break to look at characters we won't care about, no one will care about, it feels like a bit of a waste of time. Also, the dynamics between Joel and Ellie are starting to get a little rough or annoying for me because, one, in the game, Ellie had never left the walls. She wasn't confident. Her whole arc was about learning from Joel as a father figure, learning to accept him, and also to learn from him to grow in her character to be confident and kick ass. She's still useless in certain things, but she's very outspoken for her age and experience, and her reactions to the world is a little bit seemingly, let's just say, not appropriate to what you would necessarily react to for the first time interacting with, monsters and the horrific traumas of the past. Now, of course, I'm going to say it's not an adaptation of, let's say, Ellie, but at the same time, it's a different character. So I don't have that bias because again, I didn't play through all the games, just bits, and so I don't have that like this should be Ellie. So I'm not gonna be biased. However, I did note in one particular review that Ellie's character is constantly asking questions and pestering Joel, and she's setting the pace. Whereas Joel in the first game was very like, he's a weary, worn ass guy, but he has experience and knowledge and is assertive and strong. And he's like very, very like super hardcore, like shut up, we're gonna do this, like stay behind me, don't talk back, we're gonna do this. The second game people were really distraught because it was like they retconned his character and becomes this weak sallowed hollowed character of what he was, who is similar to the Joel that we're seeing now. For me, because again I don't have the video game narrative bias, I'm not going to be complaining about that because right now I'm just seeing two different characters. However, I do agree that Ellie's character is a little bit too voiceless. Like she went and I don't know, assertively, angrily killed the monster in the basement thing. That takes a lot of brass, especially with a knife, and also kind of makes her look a little bit crazy. Like instead of being like scared, running out, or telling Joel, "Hey, there's a monster down here," as opposed to like, "Hey, can you watch me dispatch it? Am I doing this right?" or whatever. She risked a lot. I mean, also she's a character well aware that she's immune, but she's like, It's basically I can do anything. Like I'm adapting. There's no. I'm not saying there isn't struggle for her, but we're also not seeing it like take toll on her. Whereas with Joel, we've been through him from the beginning till now. He's weary. He kind of is like done with bullshit. And I'm okay with his character to like kind of how quiet and like whatever. But at the same time, he's still taking a second seat, except for when certain things get heated up. But even then, so their dynamic is supposed to be more important, and I think they need to hash that out or work out their dialogues a little more smoothly. And so this whole episode we get to the point just to explain who Bill and Frank are. For me, I think this episode would have been better had they edited it in such a way where um we have the beginning the same, but when they go into like the flashback, they stop it at a certain point, and then we continue with Joel and Ellie, a little more dialogue till they actually get to the place, and we have them start going around. And as they're moving around this town from a particular point, so it takes them a while, more flashbacks, more things start happening. So they're connecting us with the people and the land again, making it a more back and forth so that there's some interest again, because again, Bill and Frank are basically useless. They're a beautiful story in their own right, but at the same time, it's also really useless towards the whole entirety of what this show is. So it's really interesting because I've seen people who have usually really harsh reviews against certain themes or contexts, who are like, I don't like the message being shoved in my face, the message, aka like gayness and wokeness and all that. I don't like it being shoved in my face. I've seen people like that saying, I think this episode was the best. It was the best story, da 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 da, and then they harp on other things. And it's really shocking. I've also seen people lose their minds, be like, oh, there's so much gayness, I don't know. And so for me, I think either it needed a different pace in editing, but narratively it didn't sit well with me because it wasn't. We didn't get much from this. In the end, it's basically, who are these people? Ellie and Joel get equipment and go. I think there could have been a smarter way to have been done about it, one way or another. But at the same time, it was presented a certain way. There are certain things on my end I think I would have tightened up some of the editing in terms of like letting certain scenes trail on too long, but that's HBO's prerogative. They do that. But I for me, this episode I think needs the grandeur Like I need to see the end of the season to be like, where does this fit? Because it also kind of breaks the narrative flow. Like you said, oh, they didn't have a flashback. I don't think every episode needs to have a flashback, but if they have a flashback, it's short, small, fits in the context of the greater story, and then we move on from there as we have them continue moving forward. And I'm looking forward to seeing what episode 4 is like. However, I'm a little concerned because now like Journey filming a Journey is like a 50-50. You're going to get either it's going to be really good or it's going to be really bad because you have what is the conflict? How long do you film them journeying? How much time do you allow to elapse between days and whatever? How do you establish their conflicts or their interpersonal dialogue? So I'm curious as a film critic, amateur film critic, that how they're going to pull this off. And I just thought ultimately that Bill and Frank's divergent of storyline was just ultimately meaningless. It's not like I didn't enjoy it. I thought Bill's character was really interesting. However, I thought also some of the acting, like he's this big, burly, like strong male character. And the moment he meets Frank, they have this smash cut after they've had their night together. And then we've jumped forward a few years and they're having an argument out front. And Bill is immensely more effeminate. And I'm like, what? Now I can understand from an acting point of view. I'm like, okay, you can choose to be like, okay, they grew over the few years and like their inner selves or their workings together became out a little bit more. For me, I think the better acting choice would have Bill remain the same constant. Just he's just gay, like he's just talking with his partner as opposed to being a little more like whatever. However, again, because it didn't affect anything of the story, nothing really matters, and they were good performances, and I applaud. And the fact that the Romeo and Julieted themselves at the end was it was nice, but again, it wasn't amazing to me. You know what I mean? It wasn't as catastrophic as certain people are freaking out about, and it also just wasn't. It just for me, it just was just like kind of felt like a waste of an episode.
Okay.
What are your
well,
thoughts? Sorry for the long tongue wagging on that one.
No, all good, all good. Yeah, you definitely said a lot of things right now. A few things that I wanted to mention at the end, but you know what? Okay.
I told you I'd get into it.
No, I'm totally okay with it. I'm totally fine with it. I will try my best to reply to everything you said. If I don't, so remind me why I didn't. If you don't remember and I don't remember, so we'll just move on.
I know my points. We can go over them. Let's go through them.
Okay, so about this episode, I totally agree with you, and I also said this on the Hebrew podcast. And for the bigger story, this is a useless episode, a completely useless. What does it give us? Our main heroes are Joel and Ellie. What do they need? They need a call. How do they get a call? From dead people.
Yes.
Okay. Do we need to see those dead people entire life? We don't need to see it because they are irrelevant after they're dead. It's not like, they're zombies. If now this is what I think they should have done, and it would have been, in my point of view, a lot better. In the game, Bill is still alive.
Right.
And he is a bitter man. What if, Bill wouldn't have committed suicide with, forgot his name for a second, with Jeff? Yeah. What if
Frank?
Wow, I don't know how I got to Jeff. What if Bill did? My name is Jeff.
I like.
What if Bill did not commit suicide with Jeff? With Frank, Jesus again, with Frank. So he would have been a sad, bitter old man, which would have been now true to the character. it would have shown us how did Bill become a bitter old man. Now that he's a bitter old man, he can join the team, let's say for another half an episode, or let's say like I'm gonna stay here in my town, you guys come whatever you want, I'm gonna go on a rampage, kill fucking zombies, because you know that would
Teach
have
Ellie how to shoot.
exactly, that would have, you know, would have done a, we connect to this character, and now we see how he becomes this bitter old man, and he
I
goes in.
honestly thought that the end there, like he, because of all of this and because of the abundance of ammunition and things of that nature, that that Joel would be like, you know, start to have an experience, be like, instead of Ellie stealing a gun at the end, finding the one that the Frank was using at the end, that they would be like, okay, like I think now is if you're going to survive, like if anything happens, because they don't have the pressure of time other than they need to get to Tommy, the brother.
Yeah, Tommy.
I mean, like it's already been too long with no communication. Having a few extra days, having a few extra hours to teach how to shoot isn't going to make that big of a deal, and I think would have been a really nice bonding experience, because Joel's being like, no, 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 and some of that might have been like, we don't have enough ammunition to train you and stuff. Like you can't just have a gun without training. So, but that wasn't addressed at all. Whatever.
I think what they're gonna do with the gun is, you know, throughout this entire series up till now, Joel, you know, whenever Ellie would ask for guns, like, yeah, no, 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 no. And I think what is going to happen, Joel is gonna be in a point where he can't actually save himself, and Ellie will be able to save him thanks to the gun. And then
That's going to happen. It would be really funny if she shot him because she has no training.
It would be funny. But I think that's what's going to happen. Obviously, it's going to be like, what the fuck? How did you get the gun? You know what? Never mind. Yeah, keep it. You saved my life. So yeah. Anyways, on the other notes that you said about so wait, yeah, like I said, I do think this episode in a whole was a complete useless of an episode. Would have been better if Bill were to still be alive, in my point of view. The similarities, Frank did kill himself in the game by hanging in himself. Over here, he killed himself for love, or maybe he killed himself because he didn't want to be gay anymore. So my theory is right. He wanted out.
No comment.
Anyways, so yes, that's my thought about in general this episode. Ellie Joel dynamic. I actually like the dynamic over here. I think it's more realistic compared to the game. In the game,
I don't think it's realistic because she has no experience outside the wall. She's on the fact that her character, that she's just this spunky kid. Cool, I'm okay with changing the character Legamre, but like at the same time, there's no hesitation for her. Like she's just go for it, and like I don't know, it just doesn't. I don't have that connect that it's like she's really connecting what's going on, and that could be real. And like again, on the all, it's just a nitpick. It's just something I'm finding. Like I don't really care about it too much because again, I'm actually enjoying myself with the grander story. But still, I'm glad you're enjoying their interaction.
I am enjoying, and I'll tell you why I think her. For me, it is realistic. She's 14. You know, some kids, again, this is a rougher world. You know, and some kids, even in our world, you know, first, act, then think. You know, she's been told, you are immune, you can't be harmed. We do.
I mean, she's told you by being torn apart, you're not immune to that.
Exactly. When it came to the cordyceps that she killed, she first cuts his head, and she sees how the cordyceps vines were basically taking over the entire skull and all that, and that even though he is human, he's no longer has control over himself. So the reason she killed him is to show like I can handle myself. I saw that it's like I can handle myself. They won't let me, prove myself. So I'm going to prove to myself that I'm able to kill someone if the time comes. And the fact that
Fair enough.
the fact that she does that shows like, okay, you can handle yourself. Like, yes, obviously it was trapped, so you're not really handling yourself, but you did show you were able to kill if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I totally got it. I accept that. The difference, like you said, like on the second game, Joel was a bit more like less rough. Well, that was, first of all, that's a spoiler for me because I personally thought Joel dies in the first game. So I thought he's gonna be dead by the end of this season, but now you told me he's in the second game. So whoopsie.
Well, things can happen. Listen, spoilers,
Spoilers,
obviously.
obviously. Yeah. So in the game, by the time Joel and Ellie get the car, so Ellie is in the car, she's driving, but the battery is not working. They need to push the car. Before they push the car, Joel goes to Ellie and he tells her, Ellie, I just want you to know you're doing a great job and I'm proud of you. And it's like, what the fuck? So you could see the huge dynamic difference over here. It's like, even by the end of the episode, he was like still rough with her. He was like, okay, these are now the fucking boundaries. Now I'm giving you the boundaries. Now you're gonna do as I say, as I tell you, when I tell you, how I tell you. So up till now, there were like no boundaries. So she was, testing her waters, but now he's giving her boundaries and he's still rough with her. Yes, he's a bit, with every episode, he's a bit more kind to her, like looking at his watch, giving her his jacket. Slowly, we will get that fully bonding with each other. So for me, their dynamic was totally realistic, and however she acts, again, totally realistic for me. There was another thing you said. What do you remember?
I said a bunch of things. I was talking. My overall talking points were the pacing, the beats of some of the characters, switching some of their dynamics, aka Bill, and I also talked about like the how narratively it felt kind of empty because ultimately in the end it was just really useless because it
Yeah.
really didn't appeal to the gamers nor to the actual story of what we're actually seeing. So they failed the lamp test. Yeah.
Joel and Ellie dynamic. And then there was like one more.
I was just saying ultimately in the end that like this could have been cut up differently so that we could have experienced more of Joel and Ellie while experiencing a meaningless plot that would eventually give us more clues, but they decided to make it really dramatic, really dynamic, and really focus in. Which again, for a story, it's like, okay, this is why I'm like, okay, is there quote unquote the gay agenda? It's like maybe, maybe not, but they really focused on a lot of certain things, and but ultimately because they meaningfully changed the story, they made certain things happen. It's like, okay, the story overall was very nice and romantic in its own way, but it was very much meaningless. So it didn't it just wasn't, it just didn't really work for me. I need to see the whole context because it also breaks the grander narrative how they've been doing these episodes, which is, mild flashback and story. This was all flashback and a little bit of the story, which is like, it's like they inverted it. And then that gives me worries about, okay, well, what are they going to do for these next episodes? How are we going to continue? Because every episode is really precious within a certain amount of time. They're limited by a certain amount of episodes. And so, how much have we shaved off because of this? And like the potential is, gets fumbled. And like some of the certain elements, like again, certain things and choices could have been done there that weren't. Again, that's not entirely up to me, nor is it necessary, but at the same time it could have changed certain dynamics between Joel and Ellie there, or at least give more bonding experiences. My thoughts were more on like some of what the critics is, a lot of the critics or people are saying, like both sides of the argument of like, oh, this is the best episode ever, or this is the worst episode ever. I don't think it's either. I just think it was really a big waste of time, unfortunately. So I was like, okay, what do we do? Well, we wait until we see the grander narrative kind of deal. So those were more or less all my thoughts.
Yeah, so I agree with you. No, but the pacing, yes, the pacing was, it was slow at times, and at some times it's like, okay, you know, you're giving us details, but at the end of the day, it was details that were not really relevant because
There's only one mystery of like, okay, the radio was between Tess and Bill and
yeah,
Frank, and to understand.
yeah,
Okay, mystery solved, but it didn't make it like now we have no more mysteries. The only mystery is where's Tommy and what's going to happen, will they meet up and whatever. And now the real focus really needs to be Joel and Ellie so that we can establish other things, because the lore has been explained, the mysteries have been explained. Now we need a drive. And so this episode really did not rush that forward at all. It was a stagnant thing, and it felt really jarring, if you will.
well, now they do have a call, so I do believe we will get a drive. By
Instead of walking, fair enough.
by next episode. I while you were talking, something came up to my thought to justify Ellie even more for killing the zombie. For all the game
Yeah.
is this, I know it's not a zombie, it's a cordyceps, but it's easier to say
Yeah.
zombie.
You can say infected.
Infected, yeah. I'll still go with zombie. So throughout the episode, and Ellie keeps asking Joel questions. One of the questions, like, did it ever bother you killing them and all that, because they are people? And he says no, and he says no. And why did she cut the infected first? To see really how
If she
much.
feel bad.
No, to see if
Maybe.
it's really a person. And she sees like, no, it's all vines, like only one
Yeah.
drop. So to really see like, okay, yes, it's no longer a human, even though it is a human, but he has no control of himself. So I don't know, it was like to justify her even more. Anyways, the episode was an hour and 15 minutes. It's a long time.
It's a long ass episode.
It's a long ass episode to basically, again, it's not the worst episode, but it's not the best episode. In the meantime, when it comes to the 3 episodes that we have, episode 1, 2, and 3, in my point of view, 2 was amazing, 1 was amazing, and 3 was okay. So in the meantime, yes, it is the worst episode because it was not amazing, but it's not the worst, like, oh my God, the waste of time, like, don't watch it, it ruins the whole show. No, it doesn't ruin the whole show. It is a waste of time in a way, but it just doesn't give us information or more details for the rest of the show. And that's basically the problem I have with it, mainly.
Yeah.
It
It was just stagnant, and that can be very devastating. But I mean, like, I don't know, like, again, I'll need to see the grander to see if that break was really necessary in the whole arc of the show. I just feel bad because those were good performances for really narratively useless characters, and it just was like, okay, let's say, it would be interesting if let's say they did all of that, and then when they get back, like, let's say they hear coughing in the bedroom, and so they go in, they see Frank is dead, he's dead, but Bill, because he's a big guy, the amount that he did wasn't calculated right because he's getting old, and so what's his name, Joel saves him, kind of deal. He's mad.
What's his name? Really? What's his name?
Joel,
I have the exact same name, man.
Yeah, but I was just saying, like, it would have been like a big twist, like, oh fuck, he's still alive, and so now there's another dynamic so that they do have someone there or something, or I don't know, like, I mean, technically me retconning it like that ruins the story that they gave, but I mean, it would make it more complex or more like, oh fuck, or something, because now this place is like, okay, this is a Hopstone. by the time they come back, this place is going to be overrun. No one is gonna like this place is going to be looted. Nobody is coming back there again. So it's just like frick.
Okay, so this is why I disagree with you about this town being looted. In the 20 years, how many times was the town raided?
We don't know. We don't know.
We saw once.
We saw once.
We saw once, and they died mainly from the traps, and there's still traps over there. So I can easily say this town is safe for another 20 years. And everything.
I don't think so. Enough cordyceps, because all you need is enough people or infected to set off or take down most of the traps. They are effective, but now there's no one to maintain them. Nobody who's scouting the area is going to see that this place is well kept. They're going to see that it's overgrown, and eventually they're going to be like, okay, we'll carefully make our way in, and that's it. Like, and once one person or enough people have decided to venture in, and there's nobody fighting back, the fact that when the traps were going off and then Bill comes out and starts laying down fire horribly and from a non-tactical position, you would be like, oh fuck, there's somebody manning the grounds, there's no way there's not worth my time, like they're fortified. But the fact that no one's shooting back and like that's it, well, there you go.
Let's agree to disagree. I
Fair enough.
I think this town is going to be safer into the next 20 years, even if no one takes care of it. Because again,
I will let you have your opinion.
A lot of people are dead, or zombies. So, or they are in a gated town, with horrible laws. So I know. Here's in my point of view how the episode could have gone better. One. I just thought of another one, but here, number one, Bill doesn't die.
Mm-hmm.
And we see him become a bitter old man.
Yep.
That's one. Two, and this could have explained the entire episode without even ever seeing Bill and Frank. And I think this could have been a very good episode as well. We focused just on Ellie and Joel the entire episode. In this entire episode, we see them walking, talking with each other, slowly building a bond with each other and trust. And by the end of the episode, and this episode will be 50 minutes, not an hour and 15 minutes, 5-0. By the end of the episode, they get to the city, they get all the loot that they need, and they read the letter. The end.
There you go.
Joel knows.
Big nod to yeah, and then the rest of the episode ends the same, where they go down in the basement, turn off the radio. And for those in the know, it's a nice homage, because in their head their canon is kept safe. And then for those who don't know, it's not that important, so it's like, okay.
Yeah. And Joel knows Bill and Frank. He knows them, so he does, like he did, like in the episode, he didn't go to the room because he knows, okay, they're dead. So he would still get that sad feeling. We might not necessarily connect with it, but the gamers would. The gamers would connect with it. So it'd be like, here is some stuff that we only want the gamers to cherish, and not the viewers if you haven't played the game. It could be like, but I think that could have been also a good episode ending, and it's a win-win for everyone. Ellie and Joel connect with each other, and the gamers still kind of get the ending. We get the same ending, and it doesn't ruin what is canon to the game. So
it's fair enough.
It's a win-win-win.
It's a win-win-win. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it would definitely people would have been, then our argument would probably be like, man, like they just show up and, we get a mild, like off-screen understanding of like, this is where it happened. But at the same time, I don't know, maybe we would have been more satisfied with that episode, especially if there was more dynamic between Joel and Ellie, and maybe they had a different conflict to deal with along the way, and maybe a different flashback. But I don't know. There's a lot of themes that would have changed some things. I don't know. Again, like now that we know the narrative importance of these people, which is zero basically, I think we would have, had we not known that now, if we had to change the episode, then we might have been a little bit like, I don't know. I think this episode would still be iffy.
I don't know if it would be iffy. Obviously, yes, Joel and Ellie would still have like a little conflict, maybe with a few zombies. And when it comes to the flashback, I think a good flashback could have been Joel is still holding the body of his daughter, crying. Because in the game, she dies and we don't see what happens. Also in the show, she dies, we don't see what happens later. We jump 20 years later. What if for the next, like, let's say we get a flashback of overall 2 to 3 days. In those 2 to 3 days, how the world, went to shit. We see how, Joel is with his daughter's body, trying to escape and at the same time wanting to bury her. And we see how traumatizing and heartbreaking it is. And then to see at this episode how he's starting after 20 years to start to look at Ellie in a sort of same kind of point of view.
I feel it.
So I don't know. You could have still got the heartfelt episode like you got in this episode, but more to our main characters. So it'd be actually more relevant, more important.
Very much so. Very possible.
Yeah. The Last of Us directors, hire me.
I think it's a little late for that, but
those episode 2. Episode 2. There's season 2. I forgot to mention in the beginning of the podcast. They have confirmed season 2.
Season 2. Okay, yes. Okay.
So not only that they have confirmed season 2, I have read that a lot of gamers do suspect there is going to be a third game that is going to close off the entire story. So that is fun for the gamers. If that is true, it's a rumor as of right now.
Good for you guys.
Good for you guys. Awesome rumor. I'm gonna mention one more thing that, again, these are things I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, but I forgot. So there is an actress called Annie Wersching, whatever, Wersching. Wersching.
Okay, Wersching.
Annie Wersching. I'll go with that. Anyways, she is the actress who played Tess in the video game.
Okay.
She has passed away at January 29th of January 2023, age 45. She passed away the same week we received episode 2.
So her character died?
Where her character dies. So in a way, it's kind of Romeo and Juliet, like this episode, a romantic thing. If you think about it.
I think that's just tragic. And the fact that like she died, people would be, it's very like, I don't know, maybe someone didn't like her performance. I don't know. I don't want to get too too conspiracy theory, but that's that's a natural.
Yeah. I don't know what she died of, but
cordyceps.
That same joke. Maybe Adam, my brother, said most likely she was infected. She was probably infected, just like her character, and that's how she died. So
I'll not make jokes as opposed to avoid similarities in the podcasts.
Nah. But again, it's all jokes. Obviously, rest in peace, Annie. I forgot you. I don't know how to pronounce your surname. Not that you can hear me, but for the listeners,
Our condolences to the families.
Exactly. Continuing on with the episode. Why did Joel did not take more weapons with him? Like what? Like
he took a few. If you look in the back of the car, there's a big bag.
Yeah, he took a few, but I don't think he took enough. I personally think what's going to happen, like this is my theory for the rest of this season.
Hmm.
Joel is going to do his mission, obviously, with Ellie. I do know what's going to happen with Ellie because I got spoilers, but I'm not going to say anything. Even though it's spoilers, obviously.
Yeah, I'm confused. Why would you not do that?
Because it's a show, and they might change it. So I don't want to say anything as of yet. Anyways, the bigger picture, what I think it's going to happen. Joel is at some point going to find Tommy, his brother. And obviously, they're going to be conflict over there because there is conflict over there.
Why did he disappear? Yeah.
Exactly. But at some point, Tommy will be, you know what? I'm on your side. We are brothers at the end. And Joel's like, hey, dude, I have a empty city just sitting over there. We can go and live over there and go back to normal life. Let's do that. And that's what they're gonna do. I think they end season 1 with all of them going back to the city.
And then they go back to the city and it's overrun.
It's not gonna be overrun.
It's gonna be overrun. That's with a big shock. Oh no. And then it's gonna turn into a Walking Dead scenario.
It could be a shock, but I don't think it's gonna be overrun.
That's what you say.
So yeah, I think that is more or less the episode. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. One more thing that I wanted to mention. We do, during the flashback, we do see Joel and Tess when they meet Bill and Frank for the first time.
Yep.
Why didn't they just stay over there? Why not just stay in the city?
Because they're scavengers. They like the system in the town. I don't know.
Okay, you can still be scavengers and like help build the town and protect the town even more. But why would you go back to the shitty town where we met you for the first time rather than be in this safe haven?
No idea. Well, I don't think they were gonna take it on, right? Take on more people.
Yeah, but they did agree to help each other in a way. So, at some point, Bill did see like, okay, even though I don't like you, and Bill does say this, I'm okay with you doing business with you. So I don't know. I believe like even
there's a difference of doing business and having someone stay in your property, quote unquote.
Yeah, but at the end, it's like after he killed himself, he's like, yeah, this property is basically yours. Take whatever you need. I loved how while Ellie was reading the letter, Bill wrote something over there, which I don't remember where he writes, but he added ha 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 ha, and Ellie reads it like that. Like you don't have to actually laugh. You can say laughter or like ha 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 ha. Like you don't need to do this dry weird laugh. Ha 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 ha.
She's just reading it.
So it's like that. That alone was funny to me. It was great.
It's a funny thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I do believe we got to the end of the episode.
Yeah, we milked that one dry.
We milked that one dry like they milked us.
My nipples hurt.
My pee-pee hurts. Anyway.
Shocked look. Shocked Pikachu.
I did see a trailer for the rest of like the HBO release. Like here's what is coming up for the next episode.
I don't watch those
for the next episodes, and also obviously the internet has been saying so. This is what I know. The next episode is going to be the guy who is asking for help. Now, again, I only watch the video game after watching the actual episode. What does that mean, the guy who's asking for help?
Who is this guy who asked for help?
Now, I don't know. This is what I assume is going to happen. This guy is asking for help. Let's say his leg is broken or whatever. Lies. We have heard there are Vaders outside the walls. So
other people are dangerous.
Exactly. So obviously this person is one of the raiders and he's trying to, I don't know, kidnap them, kill them or whatever, ambush them. And this is the tactic. I have been hurt. I need your help. Please help me. And then the Raiders come. That's so
Oh,
far as
we
my
know.
theory. That's my theory. I could also be mistaken. I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Mm.
But yeah, this is all I know. But yeah, for the third time, I do believe we have talked about everything, and we ended the episode for today. I'm your host,
Yeah.
Joel, and with
And I'm the
us,
guest, Moses.
Moses Moon. Wait, I should say I'm Joel from the show. It's the same name and birthday. Anyways,
Insane.
it's absolutely insane. Always.
Did you have a cake for your birthday, by the way?
Me? No, most likely. I don't
Oh.
remember.
All right,
Anyway,
you're safe.
I'm safe. Yay. We talked about The Last of Us, or The Last of Us, however you want to call it after this episode. Season 1, episode
Broke
3.
back The Last of Us.
Yes.
The last broke back. Sorry.
I love you. Oh, never mind.
Thank you. I love you too.
There's a movie you should watch called I Love You, Philip Morris.
Okay.
Watch that movie. Anyways, we talked about The Last of Us season 1, episode 3. Give us a like on the Spotify and 5 stars.
Do it now.
Do
Right
it
now.
Right now.
Do it.
We are waiting. We're not going to stop the episode until you do it.
Yeah, we're waiting. Oh, there's one. I just need one more. And no. And there's
Oh,
another.
Oh wait.
How many are we waiting for?
No, this guy just blocked the podcast. Okay. Anyways,
Well,
we are spoilers, obviously, and we will meet you guys in the next episode. Until then, bye.
night.